All right, hello. This is going to be my video about how to get through the non-Mendelian genetics packet. And this packet's going to go over things that don't really follow Mendel's laws. They have some in common, but there are also a lot of differences as well. So without further ado, let's get into this. First one's going to be multiple alleles. And you can see here we have multiple alleles for hair color in humans. So we have brown, blonde, red, and black. And you can see that these different combinations are going to create different phenotypes. And based on those combinations, that's going to be what's determining the phenotypes. You can see here all the different phenotypes that come from different alleles that we have for the hair color. And you can see some of these are going to be dominant to others, and how they play out is just going to be a little bit, not random, but just different. So each one of these is going to ask you how to that's going to ask you to cross. As you can see, somebody with auburn hair, you take the person with auburn hair and cross them with somebody with a red hair. But sometimes you have to figure out what their genotypes are going to be. So then you give the probability of their kids, like what will they have? Will they have black hair? They have strawberry blonde hair? Whatever. That's what you're going to use for your offspring. Just three problems there, because that is kind of difficult to work through. Next is codominance, and this is going to ask you to take a look at these type of chickens and these type of cows that we definitely talked about, and it's going to ask you to cross. And remember, these are dominant. These genes are equally dominant to each other. So big B and big W, they are equally dominant. So B is for black, W is for white. So these chickens in the middle will have both black and white. They're called Ammonite. I forget how you pronounce this, but they are chickens that show both of these colors. Same with the cows. Here it has red, have white, and you have the red. It'll ask you what the parents are and then what the percentage of the offspring will be as well. Blood typing. This is multiple alleles and codominance. You might see on your paper, it might actually say multiple alleles and codominance. I changed it this year. I just have it as blood typing. But this is asking you between two parents that are like big O, or, that have the Rh factor, and asks you just a couple combinations of these. And it just asks you to go through those problems and then tell the percent of the offspring. Incomplete dominance is also known as intermediate dominance. This is where the phenotype of the heterozygote here, you can see, will be a mixture. This is that blending hypothesis, kind of. It's not really the blending hypothesis, and I'll talk more about that in class, but it shows you that they are blending in these two. So you can see it gives you like the snapdragon example, and you can see the genotypes here, and it also gives you another chicken. These are called Andalusian fowls. I actually had these on the farm growing up when I was younger. And they show you different ways of showing. You can see the blackbirds, big B, the whitebirds, big B apostrophe, and then the Andalusians that only have one of those two B's with the apostrophes. SexLinked Genetics is going to go over, like with the X and the Y chromosome, genes attached, whether they're dominant or recessive. It's going to ask you to identify the females, and then to identify the males here as whether they're either a carrier, don't have it, or have it. And then you can see here down at the bottom, they just ask you for differences between the two. This one talks about calico cats the calico color in cats is a pretty cool example. Lastly, one of the more difficult ones is the polygenic inheritance. This is looking at several traits occurring for, or I should say not traits, several genes occurring for a single trait. And it asks you for the genotypes. This will be a little bit more difficult, but once you kind of get the pattern, you'll understand it. And then ask you to cross these, very similar to a dihybrid, but you really don't have to do with a full dihybrid. And it asks you then whether the offspring percentage-wise are dark red, pink, light pink, and white. Remember, the more of these capital letters, that's going to be more of the, like in this example, the red color. The less of them are going to be the lighter color or the white. So you can see the dark ones here are big A, big B, and those are like the dark reds. The white ones here are like the little a, little b. The ones on this side usually either have one or two, and in the middle here have like two or three. Or I should say, going down there. So again, these are a little bit more difficult, but once you get the hang of it, you'll understand. Okay, that's it. Yeah.